Y'all know what it is. The almighty Black Wrestling Podcast is back. It's Black History.
Those vibes.
Hey, the
Those
thing
are,
is,
now I know what it is.
the
It's
thing
crazy
is,
going down.
well, I mean, for a second, a lot of the time, like, and shouts out to all the outlets out there. Black History Month. It means a lot to people, especially when people are, in the game. There, we get to see, what people have to say about Lash Legends and Bobo Brazils and everything like that. But I think when it comes to BRP, Black History Month, we just get busy and we just start trying to talk to everybody. But a lot of things is happening. One thing we have been talking about a lot on the pod, on the timeline, has been Asé's next show. ASÉ BHM is happening February 24th. Saturday, February 24th, North Carolina. Get your tickets, ASÉWrestling.com. We've been having a couple of conversations. You've seen us talk to Darius Lockhart. You've seen us talk to Yaya. This is something different. I personally, I don't know how y'all was feeling when you was watching the first Ashe show, but we were fans of the presentation, and one big part of that was the commentary. Like, it really felt like we was watching some wrestling. It didn't, and then no disrespect to nobody, but it felt that you could tell when people had a certain level that they were trying to achieve when it came to what it felt like, what the presentation was on a broadcast level. So this time around, we got one of the brothers. One of the brothers is returning from commentary. One of the brothers is a legend, so you can't get legends in the room all the time. But they damn near got close. This week we have, not only are we talking to the brother Chris Lea, who is an anchor and reporter at WRAL News in North Carolina. My man's making documentaries. My man's a former pro wrestler. We may get into that a little bit as well. But we have his tag team partner on the commentary booth for ASÉ X BHM on February 24th, the brother Kaz. The brother Kaz, you know him from Say Less. You know him from the Masked Man show. Shouts out to the squad over there. And he's also the man behind WaleMania. Again, we got this tag team right here. Brothers, welcome to the stage. Welcome to the stage. Let me get some applause for y'all. Let me get some applause for y'all.
Love it.
That was a lovely introduction.
I try my best. I try my best.
That was a cool picture. I love that picture. Put that picture back up.
Oh, wait, the image of these two brothers?
That on, man. That was nice.
You like that?
That is nice.
That's cold.
I gotta tell you. I sent the photos in, and then when I saw like the promos for Ashe, I was like, man, I hope I get one of them dope ass like
with emotions
on the joint. Yeah, bro. I didn't get no motion graphic. That's one thing. I was kind of hot about that. I was like, I didn't get no motion graphic. I'll send the video, yo.
I'll send the videos funny.
I'll turn around. Like, I'll do it.
I'm kind of mad because the how that stuff happened was at the last show we had Scotty Swimber there who was kind of doing the motion graphics beforehand, and I never got mine done because I was running around. So I was
busy.
I was mad with you guys. So hopefully, I don't know if he's gonna be there next week, but I'll try to get
one. If he's at the joint, let him know, yo. I'm not doing nothing until we get.
I'm gonna take the headset.
The motion graphics.
Facts. Somebody better have a green screen or something. They're portable now, right?
Yeah.
Actually,
I'm joking. That just looked fire. It just looked fire. I really want to.
But I want to talk because again, that's a dope look, and I'm thinking, Chris. Chris, there are questions that I have for you, but Kaz, I want to ask first. When did you first hear about Ashe? Was it seeing stuff come up on the timeline, and then the next part is, what was the conversation that led you to be where you are now, sitting with Chris? This coming February 24th at the show.
Man, thanks for that, Cal. I saw Ashe like I saw everybody else seen it. I've seen a lot of incredible folks supporting it. Obviously, Faye Jackson, Big Swole, and I'm just a fan of pro wrestling in general, right? So I always keep my ear out for everything that's happening around. So I've seen, incredible black talent that I followed for a long time, and Darius Lockhart and Carter and all these guys putting the show together. I quietly, the first show, I was like, damn, that'll be dope. Like, I want to see how I could be a part of this somehow. So I kind of like watched the first show, like from the shadows and stuff. And I don't know, man. I think I just sort of put it in the atmosphere in the beginning of last year. I've done a lot of stuff in my media career. I've done a lot of commentary. I've done a lot of podcasts. I've done a lot of TV. And I was like, man, you know, it would be really fun this year to call some wrestling matches, right? And you know, Darius hit me up and was like, hey man, what would it take to get you out here? And I was like, man, I'm just honored that you guys would even have me, you know. I just seeing, you know, a lot of real Black wrestling movements grow off of social media. I'm always honored to see how much of that has happened over the past decade, right? Like I remember, you know, just even before WaleMania, like doing like wrestle rap or just working for WWE and just, you know, all this type of stuff, just seeing, you know, just little pockets of Black wrestling social media out there. So just seeing what they're building with ASÉ down in North Carolina, you know, you get the same sort of feeling you get when you see a dope rapper coming up and like, you know what, I'm going to fund it myself and, you know, put on, there's always inspiration behind that. There's always something to see behind that and be like, oh man, I just want to be able to support those guys any way I can. Just knowing the type of reach that I could probably have with the wrestling audience. I'm like, you know, it would probably be cool if I could hop on the microphone and call some of these matches. So I'm really excited to do it. And, you know, I love the Black wrestling community. I love wrestling in general, but just more specifically, I got so much love for the Black wrestling community, just seeing how much it's grown over the years and how much I've been honored to be a part of it in some way, shape, or form. So this is a no-brainer for me. I was like, shoot, if I could find the schedule, the time to do it, like I'm in there. So
that's crazy.
We're making it happen.
And that was my thing. I was like, he got time? You're all over the place. You're all over the place. You're on like this is. I feel like this is the most busiest time for you right now.
Yes.
And the fact that, you know, sometimes when people get to the level that you've gotten, it's not that you forget, but some people forget, right? And the fact that you took time to go back and say, you know, I'm still going to be in it. I'm still going to touch these grassroots type organizations, type projects. I commend you for that because they need it. Like you need to reach that hand and help people come up, especially this project is just so amazing from the production aspect of it, from the soup to nuts. It's just been outstanding. I've never watched a YouTube. I'm not really into the whole indie scene, but that I was locked in, and to see you become a part of this as you're a part of so much is good to see. I'm glad that you are staying tapped in. I love that.
I have a quick story about that if y'all want to hear it.
Yes.
Kaz, you put out a tweet I think in January where you like I want to do some pro wrestling commentary. What's funny is that same day, earlier that day, I hit up Darius and I was like, hey, were you able to confirm if D'Lo could come back? Because D'Lo wanted, you know, D'Lo Brown was doing it in December. He wanted to come back. And I was like, I think TNA is running that weekend. He was like, yeah, I just hit him. He can't do it. He was like, but I saw this tweet and he sent me the screenshot with Kaz. And I was like, man, that would be dope if he could do it for us. Like I've been following him for the last couple of years.
Right.
You know, so I definitely knew of him. I was like, you know, should I hit him up? He was like, nah, I'll hit him up real quick. And then like that same day, he was like, got him. That's what's up. So
I meant to.
I was kind of watching it from behind the scenes a little bit happening, you know.
I meant it too, man. Like I feel like, you know, it's a lot. It's an honor for me to sort of be a part of it, you know. Like I love that. I love what this company stands for. I love what they're building. It's unique, and you know, it's a specific space for people like us, you know. So I'm aware of my reach just as far as wrestling media is concerned, and you know, I figured if there's any way I could help young brothers that are trying to build something brick by brick, you know what I mean? Like the least I could do is be like, all right, man, like let me be a part of it. And on top of that, like I want to do more of this stuff too. Like I want to be able to call some matches in the future. And, you know, I've done a lot of stuff for Slam and obviously the Knicks and New York, a lot of New York sports around here. And you know, I just love professional wrestling. And I've always thought like, man, why can't I do something like this? So this is my first time, so be gentle with me as well, and I just want to hope that I bring some legitimate enthusiasm to what this is, and being able to work with Chris, who, I've always sort of seen on my timeline as well, sort of, working together sort of helps, it brings a real legitimacy to it as well, because again, I'm just a novice. I'm really just coming in as a fan to sort of like, talk my junk a little bit, but this is exciting for me too, man. Like I want to be able to do more of this in the future. So if I could be able to say, man, my first time calling a wrestling match was at this all-black wrestling event in North Carolina, and that eventually leads to something else. I mean, I'd be glad to say this is the first time I did it. So it made all the sense in the world to me.
No, big facts, super facts.
So, really quick, this isn't an easy job when it comes to calling these matches and really telling these stories on TV or however these things are coming across. Right. I guess two-part question. What are you doing to I guess prepare for what you guys have to do, and like who do you look to? Like who did you see on TV and that is gonna influence what you guys do next week?
For me, the work started as soon as the matches were announced, and one of the things that I do, and I was told me and Cass had a chance to talk on the phone last week. I've reached out to everybody on the card, and I've scheduled one-on-one interviews with them. And the only person I haven't talked to Jada Stone, I haven't talked to Sunny Kiss yet. Other than that, I've talked to everybody at this point. And I do that on purpose. Like before, believe it or not, ASÉ won. That was the first time for me ever calling wrestling.
Wow. I'm amazed. I'm sorry. I'm amazed because you did especially being there with D-Lo, you did a really phenomenal job. I ain't gonna hold you,
bro. But I've done play-by-play before. Like I do baseball, basketball. CBS Sports had me in for a couple of games in January. So I'm used to doing it. So I always was like, I told Darius, I'm gonna treat this the same way I'm gonna treat basketball and football and everything else. And so one of the things for that is you sit back, you study the stats, you get prepared for everything, every single corner about that team. You got to know it. And you interview people, you interview coaches and all that ahead of time, just so you're prepared and you have those nuggets. Because, and what I told Kaz, I was like, I think I'm more of a Michael Cole than what I am Excalibur. And that's nothing against Excalibur. Right. But I'm not just going to, just call every single little move here and there. I also want to weave in some story. I also want to tell you what the person's motivation is behind this. I also want to let you know that, they went through this at this point. I'm not going to spoil it, but I learned something new about one of the competitors that wasn't on the December show. And like literally a big life moment happened to them where they almost lost their life. But that's what led them to pro wrestling. I'm gonna leave that for that match. Y'all gonna have to watch ASÉ next week for that. And so that's me. And that's kind of how I want to do it. I've been in journalism for this year will be 20 years. I'll turn 38 later on this year. And I started pretty much my freshman year of college. And so journalism, broadcasting, it's just been a part of my life. And I wanted to give it that legitimate, I guess, that legitimate like feel to it. Like I don't want to approach wrestling like, oh, this is a plaything. This is just wrestling. Right. I want to approach it like this is a sport. These are real people that are in that ring who have real motivations behind what they're doing. And we're gonna talk about that because it's not just their job to get them over. It's everybody on the show's job to get them over. The referee is a part of getting them over. Their opponent is a part of getting them over. The commentary team is a part of getting them over. And I take that very seriously. One, as a lifelong pro wrestling fan, as a former pro wrestler myself, and also as a broadcaster in my real life. So for me, like that, I've been studying, I've been doing interviews. Next week, I'm going to take in a bunch of matches from people. So I know I'm a little bit more familiar with the move set, but ahead of time, I want to be familiar with their stories, their motivations, and I want to have these kind of storylines in my head as to why this person did this at this point of the match and be able to call back to why that happened based off of my interview with them.
Damn. I love that. Because this year is the year of the storyteller, right? This year is the year of all stories.
Is it? Okay, let's do it.
Yeah,
So
Chris nailed it,
you're
man.
hitting it. Mhm.
Yeah, Chris nailed it. We had a great conversation a couple, like I want to say a week ago now, just about his process as far as like preparing, and it just put me at such at ease, because I think we both have a broadcasting background that we sort of bring into this. I call the Slam Summer Classic every single year for Slam on NBA TV. I've called numerous games for the New York Knicks for their Betcast multi-stream, done stuff for here Fanatics as well, but. In addition to that, man, like I've got really good friends who happen to be awesome at this. Like I talk to Corey Graves a lot, and I talk to Tom Hannafin a lot. That's one of my best friends. I've had some great conversations with Pat McAfee over the years, and he's been an amazing sort of just supporter of stuff that I've done. And in addition to that, man, I've just been able to really lean in and listen to a lot of people that I'm just fans of. Like I'm a big fan of how Taz breaks down, professional wrestling, in the sense that he's entertaining, but he also brings a sort of realism of what combat really feels like inside of that ring. And even though I've never wrestled before, I had plenty of friends who have, and I've seen the way that the sausage has been made and from a unique perspective that I don't think a lot of people can really speak towards. So a lot of guys that we watch on, WWE and AEW every single week, a high majority of them, I remember watching literally wrestle at like barns and churches and, high schools and all this type of stuff. So, I think I bring a good amount of knowledge of what I've seen over the years to sort of a casual eye who may not have heard of the people on this card. So in addition to that, I want to be able to at least show people like, hey, if you are watching this for the first time, this is why these people are important. So again, you mentioned how this is the year of story. I've been following a lot of social media. ASÉ's done an incredible job putting together some insane sort of recap clips and getting people caught up on, the entire stories between like Lockhart and Carter and Caprice Coleman's comeback and, just everything with the Pan-African Championship. It's been, they've done a lot of the work for me. And obviously I can't wait to get there in Charlotte and talk to a lot of the performers ahead of the show, to really get an idea of, what their story is like and where they're coming from. So it's going to be really exciting, man. I take a lot from everybody, but not just professional wrestling commentators. Like I'm a big fan of Gus Johnson, Gus Johnson, somebody who I looked at as a mentor at one part of my life, like in my very, very early days of sports journalism when I was at the Source magazine. And I'll tell a story. One of my first big stories that I've ever had was like trailing him for a week while he was going to cover Strike Force when they were doing mixed martial arts, whatever. I think not just mixed martial arts, but also boxing as well. I think they were fighting Andre Ward. And just seeing his preparation, just seeing everything that he went through to get ready to call a match, the research, the studying, knowing when to not say anything as well is also a big thing, just being able to take the pulse of what you're seeing and, present it to an audience that really just came there to enjoy it, like knowing your place is also a big thing as well. And knowing that it's not about you, it's about the performers in front of the screen. It's about the people that are putting their bodies on the line to entertain. So that's kind of has been my mindset to approaching this for the first time. And I'm really excited to see how it goes, man. It's going to be a good time.
For anybody, I'm about to say, for anybody that's listening, for the audio listeners out there, you may want to hop on the YouTube because Chris looks like he's holding up the Bible for anybody trying to get into this game. What, the art of sportscasting, is that what that is?
So I like to call these like my paper mentors, right? Like when anybody who comes to me and wants some mentorship, I say, like, if I'm not available, make sure you have some paper mentors on hand. And this book is really instrumental, and it's The Art of Sportscasting is really instrumental in helping me learn, even after I've been in broadcasting, what's the in and outs of play-by-play. And I always say, and it's he brought up Gus Johnson, so it made me think of like the paper mentors thing. Like, study what other people are doing, study how other people approach things, and you'll pick up so many things across the way. And even if you can't get in contact with those people, man, if they have books, people drop a lot of gems in books, man, and they can't take that knowledge from you once you get it. So, you know, don't be afraid to pick up on all that knowledge that other people are leaving out there for us.
I love that.
Nice.
I love that.
Chris, talk about that first night, that first ASÉ show. Like, how was that experience for you, sitting next to D'Lo and creating like that first magic moment of that whole show?
Yeah, it was exhilarating. It was stressful. It was everything across the board. But you know, there wasn't any negative behind it. Like, you know, so there's no negative feelings. D'Lo was so easy to work with. You know, he had great ideas himself. There were times and moments where I kind of let him lead because he understood certain parts of that moment. There's other parts where he let me lead. When swag surfing came on, he swag surfed with me, which is crazy. Like, I got a chance to swag surf with D'Lo. You know, it's ridiculous. Like, thinking about, you know, watching him growing up. But no, it was great. And going back to like the actual calling of the matches, like that was the easy part because I had a good partner and I was already prepared. I had, you know, notes, talked to people ahead of time and all that. The tough part for that night was really just, you know, ASÉ is basically just Darius and myself and Keith Mack helping him out with a few other people there too. I don't want to leave other people out. There's other people who have like very key roles, but as far as like a lot of the planning ahead of time and things like that, like 95% of it is Darius. And then he brings in myself and Keith Mack to kind of help him out with the other things that he can't, you know, doesn't have time to quite do. So it's a very small operation. So from an operational standpoint, it also was very stressful because I like to be on time. You know what I'm saying? I work in a deadline industry, and we started late. I was like, this is not going to be the show that's going to have CP time. But we started a little bit on CP time. But it's all good though. We ended up getting it off, and we still got everybody out on time. It wasn't one of these super long shows where, you know, 4 hours later you're like, dang, there's still like 3 matches left.
Facts.
So you know, we were happy about that. But no, the experience was great, and D'Lo is a pro. And then excited that we get a chance to work with another pro in Kazeem. I know that he's going to be amazing to work with already. Like, you can already kind of feel the energy and everything there. So, you know, I know that this show is just going to be exactly the same. There's going to be more magic that's going to be made.
I could feel it. It's dope hearing you guys talk about, you know, what's going to be happening. Because again, I can feel like this is going to be amazing. And I forgot that I have not watched episode 2 of the ASÉ 24/7 with Caprice and Suge D. I really loved episode 1, and I like the way they're presenting it. And it's made me more hype for that match than I already was, and I cannot wait to see Darius 1 and Darius 2 battle out in that ring. But you know, the 24/7 is made me hype. But I'm wondering from the both of you, I guess Kaz, go first. What is there any match in particular from ASÉ X BHM that you cannot wait to see?
I mean, off rip, obviously Darius 1 and Darius 2. The story they've been telling has been incredible to me, because I feel like I've watched both of their careers on the timeline for the past almost decade now, and I hope they'll forgive me for this. At one point, I thought they were the same guy. Right? At one point, I thought they were the same guy, and it wasn't until I really, you know, dove into, you know, both of their talents. You know, obviously that's just me messing around. Obviously, I know that.
Of course.
But at the same time, you know, I think their story is incredibly compelling. You know, these are two people who have been at the forefront of the independent Black wrestling scene for such a long time, and at a time where not only are they running their own promotion, but they're headlining, and it's a grudge match, right? Like, it's a match about storytelling. It's the stuff that I love the most, you know. I mean, anybody who listens to Masked Man show, I'll beat you to death about how important storytelling is to everything that happens physically, because if there's no motive behind why you punch somebody, people are going to say, why you punch them? You know, like, if you go and walk up to somebody in the street and somebody just gets punched out for no reason, the first question you're going to ask is, well, why'd that happen? You know? And I say that at a very simple level, but at the same time, I think that's the most intriguing part, or one of the more intriguing parts of the show, because just as a fan, watching them both grow, watching them, at WaleMania, watching them, at For the Cultures, at all these big shows over the years, this almost seemed inevitable, right? It seemed like these are the two guys for a long time that have really not just put their money behind, a hashtag, right? Like they've been living and breathing this thing for as long as I've heard of either of them. So the fact that they're clashing now with the ability to, have a match that really gets a lot of eyes on both of them, because I do think they're extremely talented guys. And, I've seen folks over the years have, moments like this where they have a big match and it catches buzz and it snowballs, and the next thing you know, they're on TV every single week, and like, yo, can you remember when? And it sounds crazy now, but I've seen it happen so many times over the years. It would not shock me to see any of these guys at the big shows in the next couple of years. And so I'm really excited to see what they're bringing to the table. Obviously, it's going to be interesting to see who wins this one, because I think they both got a lot to lose.
Yeah.
But at the same time, man, it's a beautiful night. It's a beautiful celebration. It's Black History Month, and I think hopefully once the blood is cleaned up and everybody's a little less sore, I think those two brothers can look themselves in the eye and see the beauty that they built together.
That's right.
In this community. But until then, I hope they beat the shit out of each other. It's going to be fun as hell to watch. So I'm really excited for it, man. It's going to be awesome.
I'm excited for the two Darius matches, the Darius match as well, with the two Dariuses, I should say. And I think that's not to take it away from Caprice and Suge at all. Like Caprice was like a mentor to me back when I was wrestling, and been cool with his family and everything, seen his son grow, get older, become this amazing rapper, and now he's wrestling and everything as well. But like Darius Lockhart is like legit. I have two best friends in the world, and he's one of them. Damn. And it all started from wrestling, and this journey to get here now, as we were talking about before this thing started, there was a version 1 of ASÉ that we started in 2019, and we had plans of June, have Juneteenth 2020, and we obviously know why that didn't happen at that time. And so everybody had to go back and kind of regroup and live their lives, and stuff happened and all that type of stuff. And when I retired from pro wrestling, my very last match, it was Darius who was the last person to pin me. So from like a personal standpoint, there's a story and an investment there.
I was gonna say, it sounds like you got a story right there.
And that was my last time in the ring as a competitor, and this was before he became the Revolutionary. He was starting to put the pieces together to be that, and that kind of came after that. So I've been watching, kind of as his friend. He's been like, hey, what do you think about this, or like us hanging out, or he's coming over the house, or just whatever, and seeing everything grow, and being with him on this journey of ASÉ has been special. And since that match, since he retired me, basically, I haven't seen him wrestle in person because he's been mostly out of state.
Right.
So this will be not only my first time seeing him wrestle since he retired me, but like I'll also get a chance to call it, which is very special to me. And I also know. No, I'm sorry, I lied. I saw him in AEW in Greensboro when he did, Matt Hardy. I lied about that, but this will be the second time.
Be more important time too, honestly.
It'll be very special for that. So I just want to see him kind of get back, and he's had things that he's been going through the last few years, and to get back to this point, I know how special that's going to be for him.
Right.
And honestly, Kaz, if I get emotional, man, you're gonna have to pick it up. I'm not an emotional dude. Like I'm an Aries, so I don't really get emotional.
I'm a Pisces, so I'm in touch with my emotional side, bro.
Okay.
So I'll be there to rub your back and be like, it's gonna be all right, baby.
I appreciate it,
baby.
because I'm gonna be like, well, what is this salty substance that's coming?
So foreign to me.
If that happens, I might take like a quick second just because I'm taking in the moment. But
Right.
I'll be excited to see that from a personal standpoint.
You again, Chris, that story is very interesting. You and you talking about the man that retired. You said it a couple times on this pod. He pinned you. You said,
yeah.
You never have any thought. Were you sitting there last year watching that first ASÉ, like, you know what? Not next time, but sometime. let me get my lick back from Darius is wrestling again.
So since then, that was early 2016. I want to say. My first daughter was born in 2017, and then I have a 15-month-old, 16 months right
What's
now.
up? That's what's up. A couple of new baby dads on the. That's what's up. I love it. I love it.
Two little girls.
Bless our sleepy hearts.
Facts.
Boy, you don't see it in my eyes,
boy. Yeah, no. But my oldest daughter, she's about to turn 7 this year, and she's starting to get into it. She loves Bianca Belair. She's so into seeing like a representation of her on television and everything. And she always hears me talk about wrestling. And she's, even found my old gear and like held it up and like, Daddy, I want to see you wear this. And I'm like, I don't look quite the same right now. But she'll keep saying like, I want to see you wrestle at some point. So it'll happen. I never thought I would be away from it this long, but like it's legit my career. Like started really, really happening. And I thought I was going to be able at one point to do both because while I was wrestling, I was on, had a radio show and was on the news locally and all that. So I was able to do all three at that time. And right now that's just not possible because there's so much happening in TV. But at some point I'm going to get back in there. Probably won't be the same, wrestling every weekend type of thing, but maybe once every once in a while I'll get in there and see what happens.
At least
Would
once
you use what you do on TV as part of your gimmick?
Yeah. So I was just Chris Lea. I didn't change anything. People asked me what was my name, but I was the TV and radio guy. I worked at 102 Jams in Greensboro, North Carolina, and I had a talk radio show there. And then I also did traffic at WXI at the time in Winston-Salem. And so that was a huge part of, who I was and in ring and everything like that. So definitely use that for sure.
Damn. Are there any again, we're about to hit the second ASÉ show, but I'm wondering in the future, are there any, and I don't, Chris, don't spill any information you're not allowed to, but are there any wrestlers that you're trying to get down with ASÉ in the future? I know Darius has talked about, having a certain circle of people, to start things with, but is there anybody on your mind that you think, yeah, I'd like to see them, come over here and rock for the people?
Yeah. So I want to shout out this dude right here because he's one of my good friends as well. I was in when I trained at CWF Mid-Atlantic. The head trainer there was Jeff Rudd, but it was a lot of the wrestlers who were there who were training me. One of the wrestlers there is named Trevor Lee, who goes by Cameron Grimes now.
Okay.
Andrew Everett, from the independent circuit. And the person that was in my training class went by Manny Garcia, but you guys know him as No Way Jose.
Oh, okay.
And originally from Durham. I don't want to take that magic away from his Dominican roots, but he's originally from Durham, North Carolina, where I live. And that dude is one of my great friends. And he's such a good wrestler. And he's so much more than what anybody ever got a chance to see him on television because he became just that dancing character. And it feels like a lot of people just want to see him as that. You know what I'm saying? Right now afterwards. And I would love for everybody to witness him as we witnessed him before he got signed as Manny Garcia, that heel character who just went out there and tore it up every night. Like me and him had so many good matches. My two best feuds that I ever had as a pro wrestler was with Manny Garcia and with Darius Lockhart. And people never got a chance on a national level to see what we saw in North Carolina. And so I talked to him. He was actually there at ASÉ 1. If you look at the tape, at the show. And you look up in the rafters. It was kind of bare up there. We know. But you see a guy with an afro and a beard. He's
was
there,
him?
and he lives in Seattle, and he came all the way back home.
Oh wow!
Just for that, and also to see some family.
It's amazing.
And
that's dope.
There's a picture of me, him, and D'Lo, and one of our trainers, Roy Wilkins, that we took at that show, and that was special to me. And
that's
so
amazing.
I would love to have him a part of everything. Hopefully that happens at some point, and that gets to be worked out. But he is such a great promo, such a great wrestler in ways that people just didn't get a chance to see, and somebody who's proud of being black. He's of course Afro-Latino, but like that dude is just he's such a real brother, you know what I'm saying? And one of my best friends that ever came from wrestling. So that's somebody for sure that I would love to see with ASÉ.
Learn something new every day.
Yeah, that's great.
Kaz, I had the pleasure of popping on to a recording when you announced to the world that the one and only Shelton Benjamin, I'm totally going off ASÉ, but you announced that Shelton Benjamin is going to be getting that special honor at WaleMania. And this month of Black History, this month of really giving flowers to the people that are still here while they're here. How important is it? Like, you talk about the importance of being a part of ASÉ, especially making ASÉ your debut as a commentator. But how important is it to make sure that the people who are enjoying wrestling today put their flowers on a man like Shelton Benjamin, who may not have gotten what a lot of the people thought he should have gotten?
Yeah, it's my favorite part of WaleMania is being able to. We didn't really. I would say there was like two eras of WaleMania, right? There was like the era of it's going to be like a party where we kind of kick it with like wrestlers that we're fans of, and then it sort of metamorphosized into like a full scale event, right? And I would say like the first unofficial guest of honor in WaleMania history was Rey Mysterio, and it was in San Jose, WrestleMania 31 during our first one. Jim Ross and Meltzer and Scott Hall, rest in soul, and Samoa Joe was in there, MVP. All the guys that have been to every WaleMania to this day who have been there. And the idea behind, Rey Mysterio was, at the time he wasn't in WWE. He was a guy who was, gone for a while. And it was almost one of those things like, man, if we never get to see this guy again, or if he decides to hang him up tomorrow, or, he goes to the Hall of Fame, or he doesn't go into the Hall of Fame, we never know.
Right.
What can we do to just show people we appreciate them? And that's sort of been the whole idea behind WaleMania for years, right? Like myself and Wale have been brothers for the longest time, especially through this medium of entertainment, because we've sort of came from outside of the world of that.
Yeah.
And always sort of thought like, man, we'll go to All-Star Weekend together and be like, man, there should be something like this for wrestling. Or we go to Super Bowl weekend and be like, man, there should be something like this for wrestling. Like there's so many of us here. Like why aren't we doing something like this? And fast forward to now to the guest of honor with Shelton Benjamin, it's my favorite thing that we do at WaleMania every year, because it's almost like our own little version of the Hall of Fame, right? Where, if you guys were in there last year with Trinity, who had been through a lot and hadn't really spoken to anybody and hadn't really gotten to receive that love that I don't think she, at the time, unceremoniously couldn't get anymore because she wasn't doing WWE TV. Right. But like it was kind of our duty as a community to be like, nah, we gotta lift our sister up. We gotta make sure that people know that she's loved out here, and like, and that's somebody I've gotten to work with over the years and see sort of grow in WWE. Obviously, great friends with the Usos as well. They're awesome people. But to, got to do the same thing for Booker T in New York City, the year that he was going back into the Hall of Fame for the second year in a row, and the same year that Kofi was about to fight for the World Championship against Daniel Bryan in New York City. Like, it's certain moments where it's like, man, who in our, little sort of corner of a wrestling community can we lift up and be like, yo, come over here and get these flowers real quick. Let people know that not only we support you, but everybody, nothing that you did was ever in vain, because we're all entertained by it. I think I think me personally, after my stint in WWE, as much as I've already loved professional wrestling and loved, everything that came with it, I gained a whole new respect for the people like Shelton Benjamin who are selfless and that put others before themselves all the time. And if you poll a lot of the great guys, the super mega wrestling stars, about like the people that they love working with and the people they feel comfortable with and the people that are just cool on the road or cool backstage, just people that fuck with, like those are the type of people we want to show love to. And Shelton was right at the top of the list. So it's going to be really great to kind of give him that moment again. We got a lot of surprises planned. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of folks that pop in and pop through that I don't think people are going to be expecting, but I think people kind of expect that from WaleMania at this point, where it's just like they didn't expect that. But it's the most fun part of WrestleMania weekend to me, because it started as a give back, a thank you, yo, this is amazing what you guys do, and this is going to be the craziest week of the year. At least for one night, let's just show how much we appreciate you and show love for you. So we did that for Trinity last year. We kind of surprisingly did that for Big E last year as well. And he couldn't be more deserving, man. He's a guy that we all watched growing up. He's kind of got the street cred of a guy who's done Japan and Ring of Honor and Minnesota Golden Gopher, but also was doing Team Angle and his mama and World's Greatest Tag Team and his the gold standard, freaking the most viral probably wrestling move of all time with Shawn. Like there's so many little aisles of wrestling history that he's in that I don't think he gets talked about enough. And the beautiful thing about WaleMania is that we don't gotta be too early with it. Right, like we can just do it just because we know it's the right thing to do. So it's gonna be super fun. I've gotten to talk to him a lot over the past several weeks about this, and he's super excited for it. A lot of people that I've also talked to about this are also super excited for this, so we can't wait to make some moments out of there. So if you got your tickets yet, man, I know we selling ASÉ Wrestling for Saturday, but also get your WaleMania tickets.
I was gonna say,
wish I could go. Wish I could go.
Massive. It's gonna be massive, and I can't wait for folks to get that.
Chris, you're gonna be chained to the desk.
We got ours.
Yeah,
and
we got ours.
So every year I've been wanting to go back to WrestleMania because I haven't been since 29. And the hard part about what I do is that every year during that same weekend, it's WrestleMania. It's also J. Cole's Dreamville Festival, which is like literally right across from where my job is. And then it's also, I have to be on standby just in case Duke, Carolina, and NC State make it to the national championship.
Right.
That weekend. And and those are the teams that I cover. So it's like it's such a tough dilemma for me that weekend. Like every year it's torture. And that's the week before my birthday, and it's like I can't treat myself for my birthday.
I'll get y'all super inside baseball right now. Every single year when we do WaleMania, we always like, yo, can Cole come? Can Cole pull up? And Cole has always asked about WaleMania and how he can get down and how he can be a part of it. And he's always been down to. It's just that the past 2 years would be Dreamville Fest. Now this year there is no Dreamville Fest. He's on tour with Drake right now, but who knows? I mean, I'm sure if there's a pocket in there, he'd find his way in there. But yeah, Dallas
Dreamville Fest is happening, but I don't know if he'll be there. But Dreamville Fest is happening.
He will. Chris said, "I know where I will be."
Exactly. So even WaleMania Dallas, man. Gosh, I was covering March Madness for AT&T, and right after WaleMania in Dallas, I had to get on the first thing smoking in New Orleans to cover Duke versus North Carolina in Coach K's last game. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, am I making the right choice right now? I'm like, dude, it's Duke, North Carolina. I'm like, it's Duke, North Carolina. Can't nothing be bigger than Duke, North Carolina. You know what else happened that night? Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens.
That's right.
I'm sitting here just like, I'm like, did I play myself just now? I missed Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin. I mean, I got back for night 2, thankfully, but I missed Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Kevin Owens, and I missed the Cody debut which was just like,
oh man, yeah.
and I'm thinking I'm going
Doing
to see
too much.
Carolina. Ain't no
Doing
a lot,
too
yeah.
much.
But
This
it
is
was-
when I need to
feel
have
your
a
pain,
clone.
Chris.
I need to have a clone around, just
Facts,
doing the experience and
yeah.
everything.
Exactly.
Well, hey,
Yeah.
maybe
I feel your pain, bro.
Doppelganger.
I'm low-key might be in the same dilemma this year, man. I might have to fly off to Phoenix right after
Oh my gosh.
WaleMania and then fly back to Philly for Saturday. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We'll see how it goes, man. It's the life. I wouldn't trade for nothing.
For sure.
That's right. When you love what you do.
exactly.
That's right. That's right,
Exactly.
man.
Did was there anything else we need to get into? Did we cover it?
I have one thing.
Yeah.
As two brothers who are on separate parts of two ground at the ground floor of two movements where the culture meets pro wrestling. Why does pro wrestling and the culture, black culture in general, kind of seem to intersect? They always have. And kind of what does it mean to y'all to kind of be parts of the beginning and helping grow those movements to merge the two?
I'll say this. I got my start in my career as an intern at the Source magazine, like fresh out of college. So I know this might be a generational gap for a lot of the younger listeners that you may have, but once upon a time, people used to get media from this thing called magazines, and you have to buy them on corner stores and stuff. So I had the unique opportunity to see a lot of cultures converge, and their buildings of it, and what it means to sort of see that happen. Whether they're movements within hip hop, whether they're movements within sport, whether they're movements within, anything black culture, we kind of touch everything. And I'd say pro wrestling is such a unique sort of medium for that, because at the end of the day, it really is just the ultimate form of entertainment art, right? Like you're giving your body, you're giving your character. Some people are so deep in who they are, you don't know where the character begins and the real person ends. You know what I mean? It's almost like for a lot of the best professional wrestlers that I've seen, it's an art form to really do it. So I have the same appreciation for pro wrestling as an art form as I do for rappers in hip hop. I have the same appreciation for graffiti artists in street culture as I do for sneaker collectors and sneaker culture. Like it's all just different ways to different mediums to sort of the uniqueness of what it means to be black, man. Like for a long time, especially with the power of media where I sort of work in, it's been plain to see how what people see or what they can't become something if they don't see it. Right. And for a while, there was only a specific way to be looked at as black or being of the culture or being of one thing. And I think that's because one, technology, two, just I guess a certain narrow-mindedness that I think a lot of us have unfortunately had to deal with because of several different reasons, which we don't have the time to dump into right now. But I think at the very smallest part of it, pro wrestling is this little cult corner of entertainment and creation that I think like I'll have the same appreciation for like the early black skateboarders, the early black grunge artists, that like being able to go into these mediums that aren't seen traditionally for black spaces and seeing it grow from the beginning has always been dope to me. Well, no matter what it is, right? So, man, I seen something on Aux God's Twitter page, and it was like 20 years ago, Kareem Campbell became the first black skateboarder and Tony Hawk's Pro Skater. And it sounds so small when it happens, but when you're looking back 20 years later, I'm like, damn, Kareem Campbell, the Dark Slide, that really was like some pivotal shit in my adolescence. And you never know what that is to somebody. So pro wrestling is just what I like. It's one of many things that I like. Yeah. But I think I've been, blessed to be put in a position to at least use that medium or my ability to help create or talk about that medium in a way that I think is beneficial to folks that want to get into it. And I've seen it change the lives for the better of many, many of my good friends. I've also seen it, I've seen the bad parts of it as well. So it's also being, cognizant of that and being able to say like, okay, this is not a way to do something. This is. And I guess that's the reason behind WaleMania. That's the reason behind doing Masked Man Show. That's the reason behind doing stuff like this or WWE Ultimate or This Is Awesome or all that type of stuff, man. I think if you have a gift and you have an ability to be a translator or cultural translator to people who may not have known exactly what to really expect from something, I think you use it to the best of your ability. So that's kind of where I see myself as doing it.
I think on my end, this is something that me and Darius talk about all the time, is that we're wrestling fans, so we know what's going on. But there's a lot of people, even if they don't consider themselves wrestling fans. I felt like 80% of the people that I came across, once they found out I was a pro wrestler, they or used to be a pro wrestler, they all have a pro wrestling story. So at some point, it's touched mostly everybody, whether they just happen to watch with their brother or sister or older cousin or something. There's a character or somebody that intrigued them at least for a little bit. Maybe they didn't go back to it every week or whatever, but they have that memory kind of in their brain. And like when I first debuted, my family was excited because like for them, they were like, I've never met a pro wrestler before. And now my cousin is doing it. And I was able to pack out a place. But then, it's CWF Mid-Atlantic, and this isn't anything against them or anything. I'm not trying to say anything negative, but they had they wanted to look like the old studio, like Southern Jim Crockett type of look. And that also meant put up some of the old flags. Well, some of those old flags, like in South Carolina, the old South Carolina state flag, which had the Confederate flag inside of it. And all of these black folks came for this one event to see me, and they look up and now they feel uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And where I was able to get maybe an extra 50 people to come in, now those 50 people probably won't be coming back. And one of the things I noticed getting into pro wrestling, and one thing I noticed as a kid growing up in the South, is that wrestling has never had a situation to where it is invited black people in to feel safe. But black people love wrestling. I mean, you listen to rap, there's always somebody giving a reference to a pro wrestler. I mean, from old school rap to even up to now. And so and that was one of the things that me and Darius talked about a lot. And that, like, what if pro wrestling basically had an HBCU presentation? And being lucky enough to be down here with North Carolina A&T, Winston-Salem State, North Carolina Central, all the others that are down here, I've been able to witness what that has been in real life, just growing up. And that was also part of the motivation behind ASÉ. And it's not to exclude anybody at all, but it's also just to give what our take would be. And there's a few people from who were at the last show who hit us up, and I knew a couple guys who brought in dates to the show. That was their date night. And their ladies didn't know pro wrestling, didn't watch pro wrestling, but wanted to come back for next week because they had so much fun. Luke, who performed at the last show from Dreamville, said he has never been as entertained in his life before, and he says he wants to come back. And so if his schedule is free, he might be there again just as a fan, on just like, I just want to be there to support type of stuff. And so that's kind of why we wanted to do it. We see that it is having a cultural impact that way. And I remember a few times like covering HBCU games with a colleague and a white colleague, and they'll kind of walk in a little timid, a little scared. They look around, but by the end of it, they're having fun. It's the music, it's the dancing, it's the atmosphere, it's everybody, it's the chicken, grease that you can smell from the back, it's the fish plates, you know what I'm saying? It's the yelling, it's the, all the things that are there. And by the time they leave, they're like, man, I had such a great time. Or, somebody goes to Jiho at A&T's homecoming, and it's like, oh man, I've had such a good time. And I know that is possible in pro wrestling. And I think that is a part of what I hope that we can bring as ASÉ to folks, and hopefully we get big enough to where we can hit the road and come up north to see you guys.
Oh, facts.
And bring that type of atmosphere. And I think that would be dope to have. And that's one of the reasons why I want to be a part of it.
Traveling ASÉ would be amazing. I think that's our time this week, everybody. We've got the one and only Chris Lea and Kaz. Thank you very much for coming through. Again, you can see if you go stream ASÉ Wrestling, ASÉWrestling.com, you can hear and see these brothers during the show. But if you're in the area, get you a ticket. Go to see them. Kaz, Chris, did you want to shout out your socials? Anything you wanted to plug before we got out of here?
Yeah, man. Just get your WaleMania tickets at ASS.com. Shelton Benjamin, guest of honor. The guest for the Masked Man Show live podcast will be announced very soon. All the DJs and artists performing at WaleMania will be announced very, very soon as well. So just do yourself a favor. Get yourself a ticket. Don't wait for the rush when all these names start rolling out. On top of that, you can catch me on the Masked Man Show every Monday and Thursday on the Ringer Podcast Network. Catch me on Count It, Fanatic Sportsbook. Catch me on SNY Sports Night in New York City. You can catch me on This Is Awesome and The Ultimate Show on Peacock for WWE. And gosh, did I plug all my shit?
Big work.
Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's it, bro.
Man's making money, yo. That's what I heard. I just heard money. I just heard money, man. I got
kids to feed, man. Come on.
No, man. I absolutely love it, bro. I'm a little bit smaller time than what Kaz is, but catch me at Chris Lea TV. My last name is spelled Lea. That's all my socials from Instagram to Twitter. If you're in the North Carolina, Raleigh-Durham area, I'm the lead sportscaster at WRL, which is the #1 station. Actually, where Jim Crockett Promotions used to record out of. The studio that I do my sports in every night is where Ric Flair and Steamboat started their rivalry. So I'm blessed to be a part of that history there.
That's dope.
Also catch my documentary out, Ghost in the Stadium. Look on YouTube out. That's about the racial histories behind some stadiums and how it impacts us still today. It's some crazy stuff, man. It's only 30 minutes long, but I think you'll really enjoy it. I have a wrestling documentary that's actually coming out later on this year. I can't talk about it right now because lawyers are still doing their lawyering thing, but it will be nationally distributed if everything goes right. So we'll talk about that. At some
please
point
keep us posted on that.
Yeah, come on back. We can talk about that.
And and then just say hello and see cute pictures of some kids and what I do in my day job. So appreciate you guys for having me on, man.
Oh no, thank you. We gotta. It's about to get very busy over at the Black Rasslin Podcast. I would just say youtube.com/Black Rasslin. Make sure you subscribe, hit them notifications, all that. Brother Fam, anything you got to say before we get out of here?
Yeah. Hey, Kaz, tell Wale we need a go-go band at WaleMania one year. That's all I'm saying. We need a go-go band at WaleMania.
I'll tell you this: is Philly is as close to a home game as he could possibly get to DC. So we'll see what we can do, man. We'll see.
All right,
my man.
Catch y'all soon.
Said, man.
Peace.
Later, y'all.